Hi everyone, this is Patty Behan, and in this video I'm going to show you how to use up some of your paper stash. I don't know about you, but I have so much paper and I thought of a cute way to help get rid of it and put it to good use. I made these little note cards here that I tied in a ribbon, and it's a great thing to give as a gift to your non-card making friends. And then I made some cards that I put in this folio over here that I'll show you in a second. But I just want to let you know, for this I put some envelopes with the cards and I tied it in the ribbon. And here's the folio I made. It's made out of a 12 by 12 piece of paper, and I'll open it up here so you can see what it looks like inside. Here it is. You can fit about 10 cards in here, maybe a dozen if you really just stuffed it. And I made all of these cute cards, very simple and quick and easy to make, and anybody would love to receive them who doesn't really make cards. Not only that, there is plenty of places where you can find to donate cards. I know of one off the top of my head that scrapbook.com is doing for Cards for Kindness. If you go to their website, you can find out more about it. So let's get started and let me show you how to do this. Okay, to start, I have one of my 12 by 12 pieces of paper from my pad, and the back side of this is white. You want to pick something that has a white back or a solid back if you have double-sided paper. And try to pick an all-over pattern versus one that has to go in a certain direction when you're making the card folio here, because you don't want to have to figure out what side to do all your cutting and scoring from. It's just easier to do the pattern paper. So we have our scoreboard here, and you'll need a bone folder and a paper trimmer, and you want to make sure your scoreboard has 1/8 inch measurements. And to start, we're going to cut this down to size. It is going to be 11 3/8 by 10 1/2, so we're going to trim that off. And we're first going to do the 11 3/8 measurement, and we'll put this down here and make sure we get that right. Trim that off, turn that around, and then we'll do the 10 1/2 measurement. Now we can put our trimmer aside and we can start doing our scoring. So I have my scoreboard again, and I'll get my paper back in here. And we're going to put it on the printed side down and put it on the longest side first, which is the 11 3/8 side. And then the first score line that we're going to make is going to be at 3/4 of an inch. So we'll score that. You don't want to press too hard that it rips the paper, but good enough to get a nice little score line. And our next measurement is going to be at 5 1/4. And I have a little cheat sheet that I made here, and I was just checking my measurements. Okay, yes, it's going to be at 5 1/4. And then the next we're going to go 3/8, so it's at 6 inches down. And then we're going to make one more score line, and that is going to be at 10 1/2. And I'm just checking my measurements over there and score it at 10 1/2. Now you have 3/4 of an inch, 5 1/4, 6 inches, and then 10 1/2 inches. And I'm just going to give that one more little score, and we'll turn it. And next we are at the 10 1/2 inch side, and our first measurement is going to be at 1 1/2. So you're going to score that. And then next is going to be 1 7/8. So go ahead and score that at 1 7/8. Now we're going to move all the way down to 7 7/8. Let me get my paper to check that. Okay, yes, that's correct. It is 7 7/8. Let me get this out of the way and go ahead and make that score line. And then we have one more score line, and that is going to be at 8 1/4. And so we have 1 1/2, 1 7/8, 7 7/8, and at 8 1/4. Okay. And we'll make that a little bit darker. All right, now we just have a couple more score lines to make. We're gonna turn it to the side that has the thickest score, and you're gonna score at 3/8 of an inch, and you're only gonna go till the first score line. Okay, and now we're going to score at 11 inches, and again we just want to score to that first score line, and once you get it, go ahead and score it. And oops, I went too far myself. Just go to the first score line. All right, and now once that's done, we're ready to cut it. So grab your scissors, and I'm going to grab my little template here. So the pieces that have the diagonal lines are where we're going to cut it out. That was the top, and this is the bottom, and then we're cutting out here, here, here. And then we're going to cut these little lines right here. And I'll leave this out so you can watch me as I cut it. Okay, so I'm starting up at the top, and I'll cut out those 3 places there. And this time you're going to go to the second score line. You're going to cut all the way to the second score line. see, make sure yours looks like that. And the same thing at this last piece over here. Make sure you see that score line. And then now we're going to cut out that middle piece and then those little lines on the ends. So you're just going to cut to the first score line, and then now we're going to cut out the middle part there. And you're going to cut all the way so that you see that other score line. And now to finish it off, we're going to round the corners with the corner rounder. And first we're doing the top section, and then down at the bottom here. Okay, so now we're ready to crease this, and you're gonna crease at each score line, and the way to get a nice crisp fold is to put a piece of paper on top and use your bone folder so that you don't scrape the paper. And this piece is going to get folded towards the front, both of these pieces on the side, and we're going to finish these off in a minute. But until we do, let's keep folding everything. And don't forget to do the middle crease, because I did while I was doing it. So you want to get those two score lines in the middle. Get these little ones on the side. Give one more good crease over here, and now we're going to glue these together. And this is going to be the pocket that holds our cards. And I kept that little piece because that's going to be an extra reinforcer. And I'm going to use some liquid glue. I'm using multi-medium to glue it down. And I'm gluing it to that inside little piece right there. And it's going to take a second to hold. So I'm just going to keep it until the glue holds. So that's what it looks like. And we're going to glue that little flap right here. And we'll stick it down and press it so that it adheres, and it just takes a second for the glue to bond. Okay, I think that's good. Or maybe not. I'm taking the bone folder to help me to try and press it down. Okay, so let me try and show you how this looks. It's a tiny space and it's hard to get in there, but I think you get the idea. Okay, so this is a side view, and now we'll do the same thing on the other side. We're going to glue it. And like I said, I forgot to fold my score lines right there. But this looks good. Now we're going to finish the edge here. I think I'll use this green paper and I'll trim it the same size, which was 3/4 of an inch. And then it's 6 inches long. And we'll glue this down. And I do have a tiny little white edge over there, which I'm going to trim off in a bit. Now we're doing the other side. And I'm going to take my scissor and trim off this edge. Okay. Now we're going to round the corners of this flap here on both sides, the top and the bottom. Okay, that looks good. And now we're going to attach a ribbon to make it so we can close it shut. And what I'm going to do is grab my craft knife and cutting mat, and I'm cutting the ribbon to 33 inches long. And then what I'm going to do is make a pencil line the width of the ribbon right on the crease here and above that pocket, and I'm going to cut a slit. Okay, and once that's done, you're going to put the ribbon through the slits like so and even it out. And I'm just going to tie a bow to check and make sure the length was good. Okay, looks good. And we're going to tack down that ribbon with a little bit of glue. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my multi-medium again and just put it underneath like so. And then we're going to glue down these flaps here. And you can add some more glue if you think you need it, which I did. And I think my flap needs some more glue too. Okay, now once you do that, we're all set and we're ready to make our cards. So now here I have my paper pad, and I'm going to pick out my first piece of paper and I'm going to show you how to make a card. First, you want to cut it to 8.5 inches. And again, you want to pick a pattern that's all over so you don't have to think about it. But by all means, if you want to figure it out, you can think about it and pick a different kind of pattern. And then I'm cutting them to 5.5, and then keep those extra pieces, and then we're going to score it down the middle so that we end up making an A2 card with this finished size of 4.25 by 5.5. And we'll do that for both cards. And then I'm going to go ahead and just make a nice crease. And so go ahead and do that for as many cards as you'd like to make. Next, I'm going to stamp our sentiments using some solid colors, and I'm using Simon Hurley Bestest Friends and Doodle Florals, and I'm stamping in jet black archival ink. First, I'm going to do happy birthday. I'm going to make more happy birthday cards than the other kind of cards. I'm going to make a thank you card and then kind of like a encouragement card. And so I'm going to stamp some more happy birthday on this. And then next I'm going to stamp You Make Me Smile. I'll do one of each, one on the pink and one on the green. And then my thank you sentiment, I'll just do one of each of these as well. And then once that's done, we're going to trim these down, just leaving like a little edge between the words. There's no special measurement. And now we're ready to make our cards. I have our cards, the scraps left over from making them, and here are some examples of what I've made already so that we can follow these along as a guide, so we don't have to think too much what we're going to do. And let me put these so that you can see them. Okay, and for our first one, I think I'm going to pick this floral card with the green dots. I think that'll look nice. I'm going to make the same card as the smile, so I'll go ahead and trim that down to 4 1/4. And it is 3 1/2 inches wide. And then I'm going to glue that down in the center and then put our sentiment, and then we have one card done. Now I'll take my next one and I'm going to do it with the happy birthday card, and then I'm going to trim this down to 5 1/2 inches long by 2 inches wide. And really, you don't have to measure these, you can just eyeball them. And I'm going to just cut a little V at the end of this happy birthday and go ahead and glue that down. So here we have another one made, and the next one I'm going to do these hearts, and I'll do it like this end one over here. And let's see, we'll take the green strip again, and that is 1 3/4 inches, and then we'll glue that down, and we'll make this happy birthday, and again trim off the end and cut a V to make a little flag. And then we have another card done. Now let's make one like this thank you card over here, and we'll pick these flowers, trim that down to 4 1/4, glue it down, put that in the center, and then I think I like the green on this, and then we'll cut V's on each end. Okay, and then go ahead and glue that down. Okay, one more to go, and we'll pick this one. And we're gonna trim that to 5 1/2 and make that 2 inches as well. Stick it on the top, and let's make this a happy birthday. And that's it. We have our 10 cards. And let's go ahead and put them in our card folio. And we want to grab some envelopes as well. I'm going to put 5 on each side, and then our envelopes behind. And then we'll close it up, tie a bow. And then once we get it how we like, we'll cut some little tails at the end. And that's it. That's all finished. And now we have all these other cards. And this pattern is so nice. I think it makes great just blank note cards that you could give to somebody. Put some envelopes behind them and then just wrap it up in a pretty ribbon. I think these would make great gifts for a teacher or your neighbor or a coworker. So I hope this will inspire you to use up your paper stash, and I have a reminder of the products I used in the description below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.